Welcome back, guys. Today, the silver lining to debt. I want to go through the 5 things that debt has taught me after now being debt free and looking back. You can look at debt a number of different ways, and I don't necessarily see debt as like a failure, but I definitely see it as a mistake. And I was raised that when you make mistakes and when you fail, you try and find the lesson, you learn from it, you move on so you don't do the same things again. And debt is no different. I mean, I went through 2 years of a learning experience and I learned so much. And I got to attribute a lot of the lessons to debt, not just about money, but myself and my life. And if you're in a debt free journey, I think this is going to be a good one for you. Some added incentives and some things that you might not know that you're benefiting from by actually being in debt that might change your life later on. And I'm going to go through these 5 things in like the order at which I learned them. So you can kind of judge where you're at with your debt-free journey according to the lessons you've already learned, if they've been similar or different to the ones that I got. And the first one is really that people do not want unsolicited advice. People do not want to be told what to do, right? Like, meat eaters do not want to be told about being vegan, all right? And people that like to spend money and go out do not want to be told about Dave Ramsey. And I learned that lesson firsthand. I learned it from my friends, my family, and even my spouse at home. I jumped right into the baby steps and I jumped right into debt. I went from 100 to 0. And my wife, she had to come along with that ride, and there was a little bit of friction in the beginning, and I would try and tell her, like, you need to do this, we need to do this, and this is how debt's hurting us. And she didn't want to be bombarded with all of that information. John Scholler said it best on his Instagram today: we need to lead by example, not by opinion. And that is so true. In the early stages, I was so excited about getting out of debt that all I wanted to do was tell people about it. All I wanted to do was, tell people what I was doing. And maybe I came off as I was like flexing on them a little bit, or I was being a little narcissistic, or I was telling them what to do, or debt kicking mom and said like, I was shooting on people. People don't want unsolicited advice. And if you're new to the baby steps or you're new to your debt-free journey, I know you're excited. Just like a CrossFitter is very excited when they start CrossFit for the first time. Just remember, do what works best for you. Lead by example. When you lead by example, other people are going to get curious. Once I stopped telling people what to do and what I was necessarily doing, I just started leading by example. And people started coming up to me and saying, hey, I heard you're, living a little bit more minimalist. Or, hey, you don't really come out to eat anymore. Why? Or, hey, I heard you paid off your truck. How did you do that? When people come to you wanting advice, they're much more likely to listen to it. So just stay back, just pump the brakes a little bit, lead by example. You'll get to teach and help people later. The next thing I learned was pretty much 6 months into my debt-free journey, I think. When I was just about getting into things, I learned that there are going to be ups and downs, and you cannot beat yourself up over what's going on right now. You have to look at the big picture. You are going to blow up your budget sometimes. You are going to spend. You're going to crack. I can guarantee you, even Graham Stephan goes out and buys a coffee every once in a while. We all have moments of weakness, but that doesn't make us failures, losers, disgraces. It just makes us human. And if I would have known sooner to accept the ups and the downs, I think my debt-free journey would have been a lot better in those first 6 to 8 months. Especially with things like my food budget. Locking down my budget took so much time, and every month when my budget didn't come out the way I thought it was, I felt like a failure. When I should have just realized it was a learning process, that I had to learn how much I spent on food every single month, and I had to learn how much things came up unexpectedly throughout the month that I had to spend money on. So think about that, guys. Life is full of ups and downs, and your debt-free journey and your personal finance journey, that's the same thing. Take the ups and the downs and learn from them and move forward. That's it. The third thing that debt taught me, I learned pretty much a year and a half into my debt-free journey, pretty much a year ago March, when I changed my YouTube name from Baby Steps Brad over to TheFinnMindset. there was something that I learned that I don't know if I should have learned it early on, if it would have been better or worse, I don't know. But it's definitely something I preach over and over again. And if you're a subscriber to the channel, you've heard me say this before, and you've heard others say it as well. Guys, personal finance is personal. There is not just one way to go about things. There is no rule book to personal finance. We live different lives. We are different people. We live in different states. We have different jobs, different incomes. We have spouses. We don't have spouses. We have kids. We don't have kids. There is no one way to go about things. What you need to do is go out and educate yourself with as many resources as possible, and then use those resources to the best of your ability. I'd like to think that with this YouTube, like one of my major missions is never judging or telling somebody what to do. My purpose is to give intelligent, reliable, authentic information, and then let intelligent people make their own choices. I've never judged anybody by the choices they make, even if they disagree with me. Because even if you disagree with me, that doesn't make you right or wrong, and it doesn't make me right or wrong. And too many people get focused on one specific plan or one specific person, and they want to just debate. The debt snowball, the debt avalanche, invest, pay off your mortgage, things like that. It's not about that. Some people like to do one thing, and some people like to do others. And I really, really wish I would have known that. I'll tell you this, I'd have a lot more credit card reward points if I would have, used intelligent information and made personal finance personal for me earlier. So try and do the same. If you feel something in your gut is right, then do it. The worst that's going to happen is you're wrong. You go back to where you were, you start over, and you have something to learn from. Personal finance is personal. Make your own plan that works best for you and your family. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that needs to sleep at night. We got 2 more lessons to go, guys. If you're liking the video so far, please give the video a thumbs up. It pretty much is the way that YouTube decides if they should show this video to other people. I'd really appreciate it. It's the best thank you you could give me, and it really helps support the channel. The last 2 lessons I learned pretty much at the same time, but I think this one was just a little bit before. And that was really at the end of summer. I paid off my debt in September, and around August, I knew that it was here. Like I could see the finish line. I could taste victory. And then it made me reflect back over the last 2 years and change, and I realized one major thing. The goals that we're making right now, they have such a small impact on what's going to happen a year or 2 years from now. I mean, when I started my debt-free journey, I never thought even possibly could conceive where I'm at right now. And it's not that things change, it's just life happens, especially when we're adults. In the last 2 years alone, I've bought a house, I sold a house, I sold a multi-million-dollar side business, I had 2 children, I lost a parent, in my life 2 years later, and these when I was making my debt-free journey, I didn't make goals about kids. I didn't say, hey, I want to get out of debt for my kids so they can go to daycare and I can take them to Disney World. No, that was not part of my goals at all. And early on in my debt-free journey, I got so stressed out about making goals. Like, why was I doing this? And it's just like, just take your time. You'll get there. And I promise when you get there, your life is going to be nothing like when it started. And I'm kind of glad that I learned that lesson, because now, as I make goals into the future, I know that the further out I go, the less likely my life is still going to be the same. Or the less likely I can even predict what's going to be happening in my life. And that brings me back to more like short-term goals, things that I can achieve 6 to a year. My long-term goals, they're kind of wishes, I guess, or what I really think might happen, but I know now the likelihood is slim. If my life can change so dramatically in the last 2 years, I can't even imagine what the next 2 years are going to be like. I hope in that time I'm hearing about all the people that follow and subscribe to me, telling me about how they're debt-free so we can feel these same feelings. But other than that, I have no idea. I just take things day by day. Debt taught me that I'm so happy about right now. I don't have to look to the future, but I also don't need to look to the past either. And that's kind of like leads me into the most intense lesson that debt has taught me. Debt has taught me the true meaning of the word contentment. And when I first started my debt-free journey, I had heard people talk about contentment. I'd heard it on the Dave Ramsey show. His daughter Rachel Cruz said it often. You can read the definition of contentment. You can hear people say it in a sentence. You can see people living a life of contentment. But I did not really understand it till right at the end of my debt-free journey. Contentment has taught me how to dial back my need for short-term gratification. Now I can delay my gratification because I know that when I take delayed gratification, the net positive in the long run is going to be greater, right? That short-term gratification, that go out and buy something now or go on this vacation, these short-term things, they kind of peak and they go away. And then over the long run, after multiple steps and consequences and things kind of domino into effect, they're kind of net negative. I've learned the true value of happiness. I've learned that a car is not just a way to get to work. When I paid off my truck, I valued that thing. And I get into it and I'm proud of it. I value my degree now because I paid off my student loans. Those are mine now. And before that, they were just a payment. A car was just a payment. A gym membership was just something cable was just something we had. All these expenses and things and items were just part of what I thought life was like. And it wasn't until I got into debt that I learned how to live with the things that bring me the most value in my life. And I get to do the things that bring me the most value in life. And that is a lesson that was almost worth the $189,000 that I had to pay back. Because I am a much different person. I live a life of gratitude. I am happy. I clap when other people win. I give out free advice. It's incredible. And if you don't learn any of the lessons before this, contentment is definitely the one that you will definitely achieve when you get out of debt. And it's going to change your life for the better. Guys, down in the comments, tell me some of the lessons that you've learned so far, even if you're not out of debt. Tell me what you learned so far. If you're new to the channel, you can click right up here. Consider subscribing. Join us. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. And until I see you on the next one, stay positive, work really, really hard, and always, please, be kind to other people. I hope you have yourself an amazing day and an even better tomorrow.